Welcome back, everyone. Well, after their impressive and impactful presentation at last month's Emerging Growth Conference, Big Screen Entertainment Group has seen a substantial increase in liquidity and share price, which trades on the OTC as BSEG. Today, they're back with an update. We will have a live Q&A after this short presentation, so let's cue the video.
Thank you, Anna. I'm here with CEO Kimberley Kates and President of Development Catherine Taylor. Now, so much has happened with this company since we last spoke, right?
It sure has. Thank you very much, Emerging Growth Conference. You've really helped us build awareness for the company. Our share volume has increased tremendously, and so has the share price. So that's all really great news. In addition, we've launched some initiatives. We've launched our Reg D offering, which I'll tell you a bit more about. But we've also achieved some other milestones that I'm very happy with. We have new IPs that we've acquired, including several more scripts. We have a white paper that you probably just saw the press release that came out about independent film and the advantages of investing with the right kind of independent films.
Well, I've got the white paper right here. Very impressive stuff. What are the main findings?
The main findings are that investing in really excellent genres can provide a high ROI for investors and for the company and build your asset base. It goes over in detail what genres are the ones that provide a good return on investment for investors, for the company, and we have a proprietary vetting system that we use. So we know what the film is worth before we begin filming. Unlike a lot of independent studios that go ahead and make a movie, hope it sells, hoping to win the lottery, they use comparables from other films that aren't realistic. We know what those films are worth before we begin pre-production. We're here to talk to you today about our Reg D offering that we've launched since the last conference. That's really exciting, a new initiative for the company.
What's that for?
Well, it's to cover costs of setting up our film fund. The Reg D offering is to go to legal fees primarily. They're very expensive. The regulatory items that the attorneys have to go through, the checklist is very extensive, and you go back and forth with the SEC. There's a lot of structuring that goes into it. Each film is set up as a separate LLC. We have to have financial control in the different divisions of the company. That's one of the things that we do, is we're very transparent with our accounting. And I'm going to deviate a little bit from the Reg D offering for a moment, because a lot of people are scared to invest in films because they've heard about Hollywood accounting. And we've been victims of that ourselves, particularly in our earlier films where we gave them to somebody else to sell for us, where they made tens of millions of dollars, and we only saw a fraction of that because of the exorbitant marketing and distribution costs that they charge on these films before you see any money as an investor or a film production company. That's one of the things that I did throughout the years, as I set up the infrastructure into Big Screen that we have now, where we control our sales, where we control the money that comes into the company. It goes into each film separately. We have strong financial control. We have a reputable collection agency, and we need to have these buyer relationships. The people that we work with in-house, we have an in-house team, we have an infrastructure that we never had in the beginning of this company, where the infrastructure is set up with this team. It's actually 3 women, 60 years of financial experience between the 3 of them. They're brilliant, they're geniuses, and we will have them on this show eventually to talk to you all about how we get returns on the money, how, as opposed to the money funneling to somebody else, the money funnels right back to our investors in a senior position, goes right back to the company, right back into investors. So structuring all of the different films so they're set up with proper financial control, proper legal control in the very beginning, that is one of the things that the Reg D offering money goes to. It goes towards the IR and branding and the marketing for the company to make, again, this little 1 month of awareness campaign. You could see what it did to our stock. Our stock improved in volume, liquidity, and of course the price. And we've not really done this before with the company. We had a little bit, you did that IR campaign last year very well, and the stock performed nicely, but we need to do this continuously and consistently with the IR. We will hope to raise $75 million annually or we have that ability to. So it's not just 175 million, we're done. No, it's annually we can do that. So we will be able to make a tremendous amount of content once we hopefully are able to launch it. It is a step-by-step process. We don't know exactly how long it will take. All the pieces are in place. It's just a matter of raising the money for the Reg D fund.
Some are saying this is a golden age for independent film. Why is that?
What the studios are doing by not settling with the writers or the actors is great for us as independent filmmakers. The studios aren't going to feel it on their bottom line until next year, because it's basic supply and demand right now is what we're experiencing, and now is the time to make content. It's like the real estate market. There's not enough houses for people, particularly here in California, and so the real estate prices are crazy. How we're structuring this particular film fund is very similar to something that Jeff Bezos backed in real estate. But I look at film like real estate. It is investing in this is the property. You have the crew, very similar to your construction workers building. You have your foreman, that would be kind of your director. Director would be an architect. And you're investing in real estate. A film continues to pay royalties in perpetuity, similar to building a home, which can provide investors with the dividends, rent, reselling the house, and so forth. And that's how I look at filmmaking. You are investing in a piece of real estate.
Well, I just want to take back to what you were saying before about supply and demand, because when the Hollywood strike ends, there's going to be a huge demand for content.
Right.
So the industry is going to look for companies that have stuff ready to go. You've talked a lot about how Big Screen has a lot in development. How many films does Big Screen have ready to go tomorrow?
Catherine and I have gone through hundreds of scripts to come down to 25 that meet our criteria, but we have 5 that we could begin pre-production in the next few weeks. And they're all different genres. We have filmmakers that we work with in states that have film tax incentives, such as Georgia, Florida, Michigan, New Mexico, and of course California. But we have filmmakers that Big Screen works with in all these different states that could work with us on these independent films.
We've touched on the proprietary nature of how Big Screen selects these films, but to what extent do you put the focus on the ROI?
I look at the project itself. It goes through our financial team. They vet the project. They see the different aspects of it. We're a small, scrappy company that can move very quickly. We're not a studio company. We don't do anything by committee necessarily where it takes months or years. We're not worried about losing our jobs like everybody in the studios worried about greenlighting stuff because they're going to lose their job. I want it to be commercially viable. I want it to appeal to a large audience. I want it to be something that I would love to watch over and over again. I love the Spielberg quality of films with a lot of heart. And yes, we do have a creative voice. We do keep originality and uniqueness in the films, but we follow somewhat a strict protocol as far as the genres that we're making. Horror, Christmas, faith-based, Lifetime Hallmark style films, and a little bit bigger budget type film, which is action adventure.
From slasher films to sweet romances, faith and family, there's big things ahead at Big Screen. Join us on the journey.
Great video. I have a question. How long does it take for one film to complete and go to distribution?
About 12 to 14 months from sort of finishing development, going through pre-production, production, and then right through to distribution.
Perfect. And so let's say if someone wanted to directly invest in a movie, maybe a Christmas film that the company wishes to make with a high ROI, is that possible?
Yes, if you contact us directly, you can invest in individual projects rather than a whole slate.
Perfect. And do you have favorable terms available in stock and equity in both Big Screen and individual projects?
Yes, absolutely. If you contact us and sign an NDA, we'll tell you everything.
And Evelyn, Richard wants to know, what's the plan for distribution of your films and what's the revenue model?
So in the example, say for a horror film, we have relationships in the US with Netflix, Amazon Prime, Lionsgate and Blumhouse. And we also have a lot of international relationships. But we always know where the film's going to go before we even start shooting because we've already done all our financials.
Kinley Flores asks, is there a point at which a film is partially funded and an institution will fund the balance? Or are you looking for just a pipe sort of format?
We don't do that, is the short answer. We make sure everything's fully funded through us. We control everything ourselves, and we're a one-stop shop, essentially. Other institutions do that, but it does mean giving up a lot of creative and financial, so we don't do it. It's expensive, and the investors lose out overall.
A question from Sunny Berg asking what the timeline from investment to return of original equity and profit is, and what type of return should an investor expect?
About 18 months. We start in pre-production, and then we go through production. And once we've finished that, we're usually in a position to get the tax rebate from wherever we film. So we film in areas that have a 30% tax rebate, so automatically we've got that coming in before we even start post-production and go into the distribution. We also do pre-sales, so everything is sold going into the film. So by the time we get to the 18-month mark, most of the money's been recouped.
Perfect. And Devin Freeman asks, can you hire actors and directors, writers from outside of the union?
Yes, is the short answer. But we can also hire them from inside of the union, is the other answer. So particularly actors. The strike system has waivers, which basically means that if you're not one of the big studios who are in conflict with the union, you can basically sign a waiver, like a lot of companies have already done, and any Screen Actor Guild performers and actors can appear in your productions, even right now.
Perfect. And Danny Harrison wants to know, is the investment you're looking for through stock in the public company or outside the public company, or are all the products handled through the public company?
Our Reg D offering is pretty much a pipe. But the way we plan on funding our films in future is on a platform that's currently confidential, but it doesn't involve diluting big screen stock. It's a film fund that can raise up to 75 million annually, which will be very favourable for big screen stock, but it won't dilute it.
Okay, perfect. Do you have any closing remarks for us today?
Yes, if you do have any more questions, please do email us. Our website is bigscreenent.com, that's CNT, and we've got our stock offering, and we've got a lot of information, but also I can go into more detail with any of the answers that I didn't answer thoroughly enough.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Catherine, for joining us today.
Thank you, Hannah. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, it has been a pleasure. We've had a very full day here, day 2 of our Super Virtual Investors Conference. Thank you all for joining us. Know that in just a second, you're going to be redirected to the registration page for our next conference, so reserve your spot early. On behalf of all of us at Emerging Growth, I want to thank our presenters, attendees for making this such a success. Remember that a replay of our conference will be on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Emerging Growth Conference. Also follow us on Twitter. We always post our news on Twitter first at Emerging Growth C. I'm Anna Berry. So on behalf of myself and our entire team, we wish you a very great and successful rest of your week, and we'll see you again soon.